Hey Arlo and Frank, Grandpa coming to you from the Mannequin. I'm across the street from the world's greatest brew pub. I think that's the name of it. In Daytona Beach, Florida. And I think we're maybe getting to the tail end of Bikers Week, which seems like it's Bikers Month. Because I had friends coming here a couple weeks ago from Jack's Beach that were coming down here. Daytona Beach is a real biker paradise. So, last time I taught you how to be time travelers and travel to the future and travel to the past. We talked about the dangers of doing those things. One thing is that we worry about the future and we dwell on the past. How do you not do that? Well, you do it by traveling to the present, to where we are right now. But Grandpa, the three of you are saying, I'm in the present. Yeah, you fooled us into saying, yeah, we can travel to the future and we could travel to the past. We thought you were going to tell us how to actually do time traveling. And even though you fooled us, it's great advice. But why do we need to travel to the present? Well, I call it traveling because quite often when you're sitting there and you think, well, I'm in the present right now, you're either regretting the past or worrying about the future. It's a guy that I watch videos on YouTube by a guy named Bob Wells. And what he does, he's a very interesting man. He lives in a van. He helps homeless people find vans to buy and then teaches them how to live in those vans with a very small footprint. We have a large homeless problem in the United States right now, and we've had it for a long time. There's a lot of people that live in $200,000 vans that are not that different than mine, but trust me, mine is not a $200,000 van. But these are high-end vans with all kinds of solar panels, and they have, flat screen TV, all kinds of stuff. But this guy teaches people how to buy an old van. You can hear the motorcycles in the background. This guy teaches you how to buy an old van and live in it. And one thing that he said that really stuck out to me was, we stand with one foot in the present and one in the past, peeing on the present. Oh no, I'm sorry. We stand with one foot in the future and one foot in the past, peeing on the present. That says it all. Well, how can you stop peeing on the present and start being in the present? The best way to get there is by practicing something called mindfulness. How do you practice mindfulness? You usually do it by meditating. Now, here's a spoiler alert. When you think of meditating, you think about some guru sitting there at the top of a mountain going, Om, 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 and Ravi Shankar playing in the background. But I don't do that. I meditate in the middle of the night when I wake up and I can't get back to sleep. I meditate until I go to sleep. I meditate in the dentist's chair. I meditate when I'm getting ready to have surgery. One time, the guy said, well, your heart rate is very low. we're worried about you. He was getting ready to pump me full of some sort of sedative before surgery. And I said, well, I was just meditating, and I'm a runner. And he went, because I don't look like a runner, and I don't know if I look like a meditator or not. This morning I was at that park, Central Park in Ormond Beach. They had a labyrinth, and I walked the labyrinth, and as per the instructions for it, I meditated. Then I got to the middle and I prayed. There's several courses that are put out by the teaching company that are great. They're like half-hour lectures. Usually there's 24 half-hour lectures, so you're talking about 12 hours of instruction. There's one called Practicing Mindfulness, an Introduction to Meditation by Professor Mark W. Muse. There's one called The Science of Mindfulness, a research-based path to well-being by Professor Ronald D. Siegel. And then there's one that's from various instructors. It's called Masters of Mindfulness, Transforming Your Mind and Body. And lastly, and this is one that I used to do all the time, and I'm going to start getting back into it. I did this a lot when I was working at home in Coral Gables. It's called iRest, Integrative Restoration Yoga Nidra for deep relaxation, and the instructor for that is Molly Burkholm. There's a yoga course that I've kind of incorporated some of the stuff into my routines when I get done running and stuff. I do them more as stretches than as yoga, but that's called Yoga for a Healthy Mind and Body by Professor Heidi Surmaz, PhD. There's another one that I've watched some of the things, but I'm really not into this. However, I might become at some point in time, and that's Essentials of Tai Chi and Qigong by David Dorian Ross, International Master Tai Chi Instructor. There's also books that you can read. Now, this first book is, and it's actually the only book about meditation that I'm going to cite. You can go in the bookstore and there's going to be a whole section on meditation and yoga and things like that. But this one is Walden by Henry David Thoreau, a book that has been a seminal book in my life. I started reading that book when I was young, and I still go back every once in a while and at least read parts of it. Henry David Thoreau lived in the moment. I don't think he talks about meditation, but he meditates. And Ralph Waldo Emerson, there were these people called the Transcendentalists, and one form of meditation is transcendental meditation. So they're totally into living in the moment. Henry David Thoreau lived out on a pond, Walden Pond, and he had none of the modern things of his day. I mean, back then they didn't have TVs and all that stuff, but he could walk to the city and go have dinner at people's homes, but he lived a very, very basic life. Now, one thing that you're probably thinking is, well, Grandpa, you're talking about yoga and meditation and stuff, and that's religion. But you're a born-again Christian. How could you possibly meditate or do yoga and be a Christian? Well, I always look at it this way, and this is really important. When you believe something, for me, I believe that Jesus is Lord and you need him in your life as your personal savior. Over the years, I've wrestled with that many times. When I first got saved, I had a lot of doubts. But if what you believe is true, it's going to stand up against any kind of scrutiny. So you should scrutinize your beliefs. Well, anyway, I didn't go on this path alone. There have been Christians who were meditators in the past, and one is fairly famous. His name is Thomas Merton. He wrote books called The 7-Story Mountain, which I've read, New Seeds of Contemplating, The Way of Chang Tzu, and The Private Journals. And he lays out some of the wrestling that he did. As Pastor Joe Focht at Calvary Chapel in Philadelphia used to say, dead men don't wrestle. If you're wrestling with what you believe, you're a believer. You're just wrestling. So how do I meditate, and how do I propose that you should meditate? There's 7 things. 1, have a clear intention on why you're meditating. Number 2, don't set high goals. Number 3, make it part of your routine. Number 4, set an intention. So you have to have an intention, but then you need to set that intention while you're meditating. Number 5, be kind to your monkey mind. And we'll be getting into all these things in some detail. Number 6, slow down. And number 7, accept. Don't judge. Whatever pops into your mind, you want to accept it. Just let it be what it is and don't judge it. So let's look at these things in a little bit more detail. Number 1, have a clear intention for why you are meditating. I want to be ready for my test in school next week. I have a big job interview tomorrow. Whatever it is, meditate on those things. Now, you don't want to dwell on them. And you don't want to worry, be all anxious about the future, because you're a time traveler, and right now you're traveling to the present. But you do want to have an intention. This is why I'm doing this. When I meditated in the labyrinth today, my intention was to be closer to God. And my intention is to be closer to God a lot of times. You don't have to have something different all the time. It can be the same thing. Whatever it is that you're working on in your life, that should be your intention. Number 2, don't set high goals. In many parts of life, you might think, oh yeah, I'm going to set these really high goals. I want to be a millionaire in 5 years, and maybe you will be. But if the goal that you set is too high, it's unattainable. So when you meditate, and you need to meditate for, I think it's 12 minutes before you really get a benefit. But if you have 10 seconds, meditate for the 10 seconds. But for it to be truly beneficial, you have to do it for at least 12 minutes. Well, you should have an attainable goal. You're not going to reach nirvana, oneness with the universe, any of that kind of stuff in 12 minutes. So I want to calm my nerves down. I want to stop worrying about the job interview. I want to stop worrying about the test. I want to set my mind so that I'm ready for the test, not worried about it. Number 3, make it part of your routine. Schedule it. do it on the run. So I would have on my schedule every day to do eye rest. But then when I got the surgery that day, I was laying there going, oh, I'm worried they're going to be cutting my body open pretty soon. I think it's time for me to meditate. Now, it doesn't take the place of prayer. I do the two things sometimes together, quite often together. And then set your intention. What do I want to accomplish? Set it while you're meditating. So you have to have one before you're meditating, and then you have to set it while you're meditating. Be kind to your monkey mind. What's your monkey mind? Well, if you're meditating, your mind wanders. Right now you're watching this. You might think I'm the most fascinating speaker ever. I'm not. And I'm sure you don't think that. But I guarantee that while you were watching this, your mind wandered. You started thinking about other things. That's your monkey mind. It's jumping all over the place. Be kind to it. Just gently move it back. And this is something that you can do while you're trying to concentrate on something at work or school or with your wife or your children or your parents, where they're talking to you and all of a sudden you find your mind wandering. You're not meditating at that point, but bring it back to the present. It's wandering either into the future, it's worrying about something coming up, or into the past. If your dad's talking to you and he's going, oh, Arlo, you're doing something that you did before and it's not a good thing. Just listen to him, take his advice, because he has your best interest at heart. And focus on what he's telling you to do in the future. Don't go, oh, I'm horrible, I did this again. Just don't let your mind do that. When you're angry, your mind bounces all over the place. So, do you know people who know just what to say to you to make you go ballistic and become completely out of control? And then sometimes are you that person? I've been that person, and I've had that happen to me. There's certain people that say things to me, and I just go, what? And then there's certain people that I just know how to push their buttons. This is called an amygdala hijack. The amygdala is this thing in your brain, and it controls your emotions. When somebody sets it off, there's a chemical imbalance, and you go, ah! So what you want to do, and part of this you do through meditation, is to decrease the negative and increase the positive by being in the present. They set you off because, yeah, you did this to me, and you go, well, no, I didn't do it. Now you're arguing about the past, and that's fine. Sometimes you need to deal with things that you did in the past or that other people did to you in the past. I'm not saying that you never deal with those things, but it's usually not helpful to dwell in the past or dwell in the future. And don't judge what you're thinking, what you're feeling while you meditate. Just acknowledge it. Whatever it is, even, your monkey mind wanders off and you think of something, don't go, I can't believe that I thought of that while I'm trying to be a guru on the top of the mountain. Don't worry about that. Don't judge it. Just bring your mind gently back and acknowledge it. Oh, yeah, I wanted to kill that person a second ago. Don't judge yourself for it. Now you know that you just thought, I want to kill that person. I don't think you'll kill the person, hopefully. Slow down. concentrate on your breathing. I normally count my breaths. Breathe slowly. Or you can concentrate on the feeling the breath has coming through your nose, going in and going out. The feeling in your chest as you breathe in and it rises up, and you breathe out and it falls down. Also, you can use something called a mantra. A mantra is, Thomas Merton used I think it's called the Sinner's Prayer. Jesus, forgive me a sinner. Jesus, forgive me a sinner. But it can be anything. If you're meditating for world peace, bring world peace. Or, well, I guess you would say, let there be world peace. I use mantras sometimes, not as much, especially when I'm doing something impromptu. If I'm getting ready to have teeth pulled, which I've had all kinds of crap done to my mouth in the last few months, I'm not doing mantras. I think the dentist would probably go like, whoa, what are you doing? Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. And you don't say it like that anyway. I'm just being a wise guy. But your grandpa's a wise guy. And then the seventh thing is acceptance. And if you do the first six things, you'll accept what happens throughout your meditation. It might be 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 20 minutes. There's something called your baseline happiness. If people say a guy is poor, but he's happy, or poor and miserable. And yeah, we'll go with poor and miserable. So he's poor, miserable, hits the lottery. Oh, I just got $500 million. I'm going to be so happy. And for 6 months or so, I forget the exact amount of time, because they've done scientific studies of this. So there's data to back this up. 6 months later, he's miserable again, for whatever reason. On the other side of the coin, you have a guy who's always very, very positive, gets in a horrible accident, now he's in a wheelchair the rest of his life. He's really miserable in the beginning. I can't believe this. Or maybe a guy goes blind. Now I have to learn how to live blind. This is horrible, I'm miserable. But he's going to go back to that baseline. He's eventually going to figure out how to become happy with his situation. It's just how people are. You improve this by meditating. You want your baseline to be, I'm a happy person, I'm mellow, I'm cool, and like you would think, well, you have Jesus in your life, you're going to be mellow and cool, but I know a lot of uptight Christians. They love the Lord, but they're just uptight. Uptight, out of sight. What are the dangers? Because remember, we're doing the dangers and then the rewards. What are the dangers of being in the present? Well, if you let the religion of the method capture your heart and it becomes a religion to you, that's a bad thing. If you spend so much time in the present that you're not planning for the future or learning from the past, that's a danger. But trust me, those dangers are almost non-existent. What are the rewards? The rewards of meditating regularly and being in the present are when you are solving a problem, you will think more clearly. Meditating improves your attention span. It increases your baseline happiness, and it controls your anger. So you're a happy person, it's harder to get you PO'd. You don't fall for the amygdala hijack like you used to. So, last time I told you how to travel to the future and the past. And today, I told you how to travel to the present. I laid out the rewards and the dangers of both, of all three: future, past, and present. So, what's next? Well, I'm going to do 4 meditations. They're going to last right around 15 minutes, each one. And the first is going to be a body scan where you learn to relax your body. And any of these, you can use them when you need them, or anytime you do any of the 4 of them, you'll improve yourself. Trust me on that. So the first one's a body scan. And then the last 3 I took from a song by Elvis Costello called "What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding." The second video is going to be anger management, peace. How to find peace by controlling your anger. Number 3 is going to be love. And that's loving kindness to yourself and to others. And it's very important for you to love yourself. A lot of people hate themselves. And if that's you, you need to start doing that one right off the bat. And number 4 is understanding. And that's understanding pain and managing pain. That pain can be physical and or emotional, and quite often they're linked. So, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Nothing. Body scan, peace, love, and understanding. Do them regularly. You'll improve your life. You'll be calmer, more peaceful. Be a better person. So, without further ado, what are you waiting for, time traveler? Get ready to travel to the past, to the future, and to the present. Peace out.